We'll
Yes.
see. Perhaps.
Maybe.
It's possible.
Yeah.
There's nothing's no. Nothing's yes. We'll see. I'll escape this Matrix attack, and perhaps if he needs to be taught a lesson, I'll be the guy to teach him a lesson.
Jake Paul, who recently took down Mike Tyson in a highly publicized and anticipated bout on Friday, has become the target of malicious hate and callouts from other combat fighters and media personalities like Andrew Tate.
I will fight you any day of the week. Don't worry about Conor McGregor you up. Don't worry about Floyd Mayweather you up. You only want to lose to them so you can say, well, I lost to Conor McGregor. Why don't you lose to an old man who's retired?
Andrew, who is renowned for his unconventional and controversial takes on social and political matters, took to social media to express his vexation at this fight, commenting on how for a young fighter like Jake Paul to orchestrate a dirty fight against a living legend like Mike, and then to gloat about beating him down is nothing but heinous, and goes on to show what sort of a person Jake is and how delusional he seems to be.
It's clear to me you are desperate for a reality check. You know what? If I made my money impressing 4-year-olds on YouTube and managed to somehow become a multimillionaire from it, I'd probably live in a dream world too. There are a whole bunch of men out here who will never be as famous as you, will never make the money you've made, who would kick the living out of you. This is the hardest sport in the world, and people dedicate their lives to this, and most of them never get a payday. It never pays off for the majority of fighters, who would you up.
Andrew, who was always one of the harshest critics of this fight, blasted Jake months back on his choice of opponents by emphasizing that deep down Jake himself knows that he does not possess the attributes that are adequate enough to take down a prime Mike Tyson or anyone in the current heavyweight division, so he resorts to such cheap and disrespectful stunts like his fight with the famed Anderson Silva and Nate Diaz.
He's now old, and I would be an absolutely tragic shame to knock out an old version of his prime self. That doesn't feel fair, you know? Prime Tyson would have ripped me apart in a boxing match. He would have beaten me, so to beat him when he's past his prime just feels dishonorable, and I'd feel dirty for doing that. So there's no amount of money on the planet that could convince me to fight.
Calling Jake out for a fight, Andrew issued a challenge to the 27 years old, stating how if he really wishes to go against fighters who are older and out of the ring, then he is available for it, and if Jake accepts this offer, he will show him the damage that a real fighter is capable of doing. Adding on, Andrew roasted Jake as an individual, and a fighter stating that he does not have an ounce of true sportsmanship and or morality, which makes him pathetic and a joke.
You only want to lose to them so you can say, well, I lost to Conor McGregor. Why don't you lose to an old man who's retired? I live in the real fucking world, Jake. There's a whole bunch of fighters out here who live in the real fucking world. Men who are dangerous and dedicated their lives to this sport and don't have a fucking fraction of the money you have because you've managed to become a fucking clown. The biggest clown on the fucking internet. If you want to fight and you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life to kick the living fuck out of a fucking goofy, fucking entitled dickhead like you.
We'll see. Perhaps. It's
Maybe.
possible.
Yeah.
There's nothing's no. Nothing's yes. We'll see. I'll escape this Matrix attack, and perhaps if he needs to be taught a lesson, I'll be the guy to teach him a lesson.
Along with targeting Jake for his antics, another factor that Andrew highlighted was the discourtesy that Logan displayed towards Mike during the post-fight interviews. The incident that took place right after the announcement of the winner, which included Logan's threat and blatant disregard for Mike, garnered immense backlash, including a burning statement from Andrew, where he heavily ridiculed the influencer turned fighter for his statement.
Comes to mind.
Well, I don't know. Maybe his brother.
You want to fight Logan? Logan, I think he said you might be next.
I'll kill you, Mike.
No, please, no.
It's on then.
In response to this video, Andrew wrote in a tweet, "Logan Paul is the most unlikable person I've ever seen, disrespecting a legend of boxing. This guy scammed his own fans and filmed a dead body. How does he still have a platform? The guy is a piece of shit, y'all. Make anybody famous somehow." However, one aspect of this event, and Jake that was later appreciated by Tate, was the marketable nature of these bouts, and Jake's ability to sell a fight, no matter how unorthodox or unappealing it may sound, which after looking at the states is a fair comment, because this fight between him and Jake Paul broke records of more viewership, where more than 60 million households around the globe tuned in to witness a battle between an old warrior and a new challenger.
Jake's an okay guy. I mean, he's putting boxing on the map. To be fair to him, to be fair to the guy, he can sell tickets.
Yes.
And it's amazing what we were talking earlier about sales.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody, and this is with all due respect, nobody should give a shit about watching a 60-year-old fight a 27-year-old. But Jake can make them care.
Yeah.
And because he can make them care, He gets paid more than most boxers will ever make in their entire careers for one fight.
Dana White, who is the CEO of UFC and also one of the most brutal haters of Jake Paul, also admitted the success of this event, commenting that even though he does not appreciate fights like these and will encourage the young inspiring athletes to participate in the no one can deny their lucrative nature. Holding Mike as the major reason for this success, Dana stated that even though Jake had his fair share of fan base tuning in to watch the event, the vast majority of viewers consisted of Mike's fans.
He made a ton of money, and I know people are mad. You stayed home on a Saturday night, but you didn't pay for it. You know what I mean? And, you know, Mike, this is what Mike Tyson, when Mike Tyson shows up, everybody makes money, you know? Jake Paul is, you know, I don't have to tell you guys, you guys know, Mike Tyson is the A++++ side of that thing. And he was right. Jake Paul couldn't do shit to him. So he was right and I was wrong. You knew it was going to pull a massive number because of Mike Tyson, right? And to be fair to Jake, you're going to tune in to watch him get knocked out, hopefully, right? That's what everybody wants to see.
Addressing the ongoing discontent among the fans surrounding this fight about how it was not the way they anticipated it to be, Dana emphasized that to any proper combat fan or an expert of the sport, the outcome was quite evident from the very start, because even though Mike Tyson is a beast with unprecedented skills, he was a 60-years-old fighter entering the ring against 27-years-old challenger who was much stronger and bulkier than him. Dana stated, "I don't know what people expected. Mike's almost 60 years old. He's Mike Tyson, but he's 60 years old, and he knew that Jake Paul couldn't do anything to him, so it's like you knew what you were going to get." Dana added, "I know a lot of people were pissed, and it was a bit of a shit show, but what did you expect? Seriously, when you stayed home and you turned on Netflix that night, like, holy shit, I'm about to see the greatest live sporting event of all time." No, you did not. You got exactly what you thought you were gonna get. Talking about the involvement of Netflix in the combat game and its first experience inside the arena on Friday night, Dana appreciated the venture, commenting on how this innovative move from a huge streaming service like Netflix will soon enough revolutionize sports because it takes away certain restrictions and hindrance for the viewers all around the world as they get to tune into the fight from the comfort of their own homes.
I think they're late to the game, but they are a force. They're a force, man. And when you look at the amount of homes that they're in worldwide, live sports like this event tonight, you had to watch tonight. As all these massive streaming companies start to get bigger and bigger, they have to be involved in live sports.
Safe to say you'll be talking to them when your TV deal comes up?
I'm sure we'll be talking to everybody.
In another interview, Dana once again shared his views about this step by commenting, "For Netflix, this thing was brilliant. They're just getting into live sports. They needed to do this to test something that they knew they would pull a big number on, and Mike Tyson pulls big numbers." Although Dana's comments were fairly optimistic as compared to his past harsh critiques, Jake was anything but pleased at the points that Dana raised about his name and his brand of MVP not being sufficient or adequate enough to pull in big numbers, and that the sole reason for this event's triumph and worldwide success is Mike Tyson. Voicing his frustration, Jake blasted at Dana by bringing up past records of both UFC's and Mike's events, and then comparing them to his own bouts, including this recent one on November 15th. Jake tweeted, "Crazy that we did a bigger gate than every UFC event in history, and that company is 30+ years old. Biggest gate of Mike Tyson's career, biggest attendance of Mike's career, biggest viewership of Mike's career, biggest combat sports gate in US combat sports history outside of Las Vegas. It takes two to tango." In another tweet he wrote, "Me and Mike Tyson broke every viewership record in boxing since the GOAT Muhammad Ali." Wow. While sharing the statistics of the fight in terms of viewerships and the tickets that were sold at the AT&T Stadium in Texas, Jake claimed it to be even bigger than the Super Bowl and contributed the immense success to his team at Most Valuable Promotions, stating how due to their meticulous efforts and insane buildup throughout the months leading up to the fight, they were able to generate unprecedented hype around an event like this.
Let's just say it's 6 times larger than what I thought the number was going to be in terms of viewership.
And what did you think it was going to be?
Well, I can't say. The numbers are coming out on Tuesday, and they might be bigger than what I'm going to say, so we don't want people to run with it.
Just imagine Netflix crashing.
But let's just say, let's just say it could be, it's probably bigger than the Super Bowl.
It is bigger than the Super Bowl.
Which is hilarious because all the lead up to this fight, we've been saying big as the Super Bowl.
Big as the Super Bowl. Big as the what?
Grateful for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Jake did not leave out on the chance to blast on his critics, especially his fellow fighters and community members who called out the young fighter and taunted him regarding his choice of opponents as well as his weak boxing skills. According to the interesting tweet that was shared by Jake, many fighters and public figures who jumped on the bandwagon of bashing him after the result was announced on Friday night were initially in support of this entire event and wanted to be a part of it one way or another. In this tweet, Jake wrote, "So many snakes in boxing. Smile in your face and then run their mouth in the background. We don't need you. We getting rid of you." What Jake might have tried to allude to here is how after his post-fight press conference, many notable names in the combat industry like Gervonta Davis, Conor McGregor, and Andrew Tate stepped forward to call him out and label the whole event a fraud and gimmick. But if the tables were turned and they were the ones involved, then it would have been fine. Meanwhile, Jake also touched on the fact that even though people might criticize him for beating Mike Tyson, they should at least be thankful that he did not knock out the old veteran, because at one point he really considered it but retreated from it due to the sheer respect for Mike as an icon of the sport.
Yeah, after I seen him a little bit tired, I didn't want to put too much hurt on him, but I wanted the fans to get a good experience. But there was a point where all of my aggression and like super violence and like I'm gonna knock this guy out and show him, it went away when I wasn't getting hit much at all. And I don't know, I just
punches wasn't doing it.
I love Mike.
On the other hand, Mike, despite his evident weariness and fatigue throughout the event, was grateful for the conclusion of this one last showdown inside the ring, especially after the strenuous last couple of months where he brutally trained and sparred every day to the point where he faced a near-death experience in summer.
Were you dealing with an injury going into the fight?
Yeah, but I can't use that for an excuse, because if I did, I wouldn't be in here.
Just don't step on his toes. Is all forgiven between you two, because yesterday it got pretty personal and heated.
That happens when you get ready to fight. You're in the moment.
Now, although Mike appeared somewhat satisfied with the results, the fans around the world were anything but pleased as they shared their anger at the whole event and the way Mike allegedly refused to put up any fight against Jake, which became quite apparent in the middle rounds, where no matter how many clear chances Tyson had at throwing his iconic hooks and jabs, as seen in his countless sparring videos, the old fighter restrained himself, which goes on to show a certain level of duplicity and scripted play being involved. One factor that supported this theory of the fight being rigged came from the fact that major media outlets and reporters were somehow aware of the ultimate results of the fight, including the unanimous decision that would be announced in Jake's favor, and how even the highly coveted Google predictions algorithm also painted Jake as the winner well before the fight week.
What I'm referring to is a video I made where I checked Google's results for the fight before it happened. And what I found on Google, which I showed in that video, is it said Jake Paul would win that fight by decision after 10 rounds. Of course, it was an 8-round fight, so that part wasn't correct. But Google essentially had the fight results right 36 hours before the fight happened. But somehow, the accurate results of the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight were available to everyone on Google a couple days before. This whole thing just seemed strange to me, but I'm not saying it was predetermined or anything like that.
Just like the fans and online analysts, many individuals from within the industry also voiced their concerns and skepticism surrounding the fight, including prominent host and reporter Simon Jordan, who bashed the fight and even refused to consider this as a legitimate combat event, stating how it is a disgrace and embarrassment that an embellished and admired sport like boxing has been reduced to a platform for cheap ploys and stunts. Simon stated, "It was a professional fight, and that's a shame on the industry. That's not a professional fight that shouldn't be classified as a professional fight. If it was put forward as an exhibition, then I'd still say it was unpalatable, but at least you look at it and go, well, it kind of is what it is." Not holding back, Simon also criticized the sanctioning and authoritative bodies that were involved in this event, stating that for them to legitimize such an event and then try to justify their acts even after watching the sad and pathetic fight on Friday night is horrifying and should not be condoned, otherwise it will become a normality in the sport, and fighters like Jake Paul, who is amateurs masquerading as adept professionals, will keep on stealing the spotlight from those boxers who deserve it more. Simon added, "I didn't think it was worth watching. The problem I have with it is, if you're going to classify it as a professional fight, then there's something wrong with that. The Texas Commission, we've seen it before. We've seen the commissions that allow things to go on that other commissions wouldn't." Paired up with this anger and frustration was the emotional toll that this fight took on many people, especially those who have witnessed the old warrior in all his glory. In countless videos that were later shared on social media, the common sentiment that was being projected was that of utter disappointment, because after this defeat, the dreams and hopes of Mike Tyson ever making a spectacular return to boxing were crushed forever.
I'm glad nobody got hurt, and I'm always glad in any fight when nobody gets hurt, but especially Mike. Mike's my, we've known each other for 40 years, and, I love the guy, so I just hope it didn't take away from the sport of boxing.
After noticing this uproar on social media from his fans and supporters, in a tweet that he shared later on, Mike disclosed the reasons behind his less than stellar performance by sharing a heartfelt message stating how even though he failed to make this fight an exhilarating experience for his fans, he is proud of the fact that after surviving the near-fatal experience he had just a few months back, he was able to persevere till the end of the fight against someone who is decades younger than him. In his emotional tweet, Mike wrote, "This is one of those situations when you lost but still won. I'm grateful for last night. No regrets about getting in the ring one last time. I almost died in June, had 8 blood transfusions, lost half my blood and 25 pounds in hospital, and had to fight to get healthy to fight, so I won." He further added, "To have my children see me stand toe-to-toe and finish 8 rounds with a talented fighter half my age in front of a packed Dallas Cowboys stadium is an experience that no man has the right to ask for. Thank you." So in the end, what are your thoughts about these new callouts directed at Jake Paul? What do you think about a potential fight between Jake and Andrew Tate, and who would win? And what are your emotions surrounding the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight? Make sure to tell us about your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe to our channel.